In the developing country of Western Kenya, there are particular communities where pigs roam freely and a diagnosed epilepsy is on the rise. The suspect at large is Tinea solium.
Interfaces have been identified. The first being the pig-to-human interface by directly ingesting undercooked and cysticersis infected pork. The second is from the human to environment to pig or human infection via the fecal-oral route through fecally contaminated food and water. The third interface is self-infection, when humans act as the intermediate host and the eggs hatch to form larvae in the gut, which migrate to cause cysticersis in the brain, known as neurocysticersosis. Cycle of the Tinea solium worm. The human, as a definitive host, ingests the tapeworm larval cysts. These develop into adult tapeworms in the person's intestines. Here, they produce proglottids that become gravid and may release eggs or separate from the tapeworm. These are excreted out the host to contaminate the environment. Another person or pig exposed to this contaminated environment may ingest the contaminated feces. The ingested eggs hatch in the intestine and release the larvae, which penetrate through the wall of the intestine, migrating to various organs via the bloodstream. Such organs include striated muscles, liver, and the brain, where they develop into the condition of cysticercosis. The biggest problem in humans is the migration of the larvae into the brain, which leads to clinical epilepsy, chronic headaches, blindness, and/or sudden death. This is termed neurocysticercosis. Face causing health-related interactions can be described under the heading of animal-human ecosystem dynamics. Specific leading causes for the occurrence of cysticercosis in humans is due to the improper use of toilets, keeping pigs in a free-range system, unregulated slaughtering and improper meat hygiene and inspection, with the consumption of undercooked and porcine cysticersis infected pork.
Neurocysticercosis has two main forms of effect in human patients. Once the oncospheres reach the brain, they can form either intraparenchymal cysts or extraparenchymal cysts. At the organ level, the intraparenchymal cysts eventually cause a strong inflammatory response in the brain parenchyma. This inflammation is the main cause of the seizures. If the patient does not receive treatment, these can develop into recurring epileptic seizures, which can drastically affect the patient's lifestyle. The extraparenchymal cysts tend to cause obstructive conditions by blocking CSF flow if they form in the ventricles of the brain. This can lead to the patient developing hydrocephalus and increased intracranial pressure. Unfortunately, hydrocephalus usually leads to death.
The main drivers of influence are water, poverty, and gender. It was shown that breeding sows had a much higher chance of being infected, most likely due to the fact that they are kept on the farm for much longer periods of time and therefore have a longer time to come into contact with the helminth. Areas with heavy rainfall seem to wash away the worm eggs, whereas areas using unclean stagnant water from dams or ponds, which seem to harbour eggs, have a higher chance of infecting humans and pigs. A lack of education, especially with regards to cleanliness, and poorer, more rural areas also seem to have higher helminth infestations.
Vaccination of pigs against cysticercosis with the T-Sol-18 vaccine, as well as anthelmintic treatment. Separate the vaccinated from the unvaccinated pigs, also the healthy or non-infected pigs from those infected and shedding eggs. Make sure there is no contact between waste from pigs and humans, and vice versa. Education is very important, as well as washing your hands and raw vegetables before eating. Treat the humans that are shedding the eggs. Radiating or freezing infected meat to kill the cysts before being eaten has also worked.
The stakeholders that work together are health professionals, which are vets and medical doctors. They do this at the provincial and national level by identifying and reporting the cases. Number 2, we have the environmental sector. And the third stakeholder is the World Health Organization in partnership with NTD, FAO and OIE by strongly advocating the importance of food safety by setting food safety standards.
In order to find out more about our chosen topic, we communicated with an abattoir owner who also owns a pig farm, as well as a newly qualified doctor.
In the last 4 years, I've had 6 sows that we've slaughtered that have had measles. They came from pigs that we helped with the SPCA. They were sort of rescue pigs that were malnutritioned and running around, and obviously picked up human feces because it was a emerging farmer. We didn't find anything in the brain. 15 to 18 years ago, we had a farmer in the Uvonga area that pigs were sort of free-range pigs, and we had, I think, 2 or 3 each time, that had picked up measles because they had escaped and eaten human feces. Obviously, those carcasses that have had measles that we've picked up in the muscle, some of them, if it's mild, we freeze it for at -18 for 3 weeks, and then I've used it to feed the dogs.
Well, I personally haven't had any experience of it in the state hospitals. That could be due to it going undiagnosed. Patients usually present with non-specific symptoms, like epilepsy, seizures, that sort of thing. And, it's quite hard to diagnose them if they've had the tapeworm before, but I don't have it anymore. These eggs are usually deposited in childhood, and then they make their way into the brain tissue. Obviously, they die because they're not supposed to be there, and then form calcifications there. So the treatment for neurocysticersosis that we offer obviously aimed at your immune system's sort of response to those calcifications. A lot of the symptoms that you get are due to your immune system sort of overreacting. So steroids, corticosteroids, things like, steroids, and then sort of symptom management.